This is the Used Car Dealer Podcast.
Zach here, and we have a really exciting entrepreneur on the podcast today, Amir Hever, who is the CEO and co-founder of UVeye, a leading automatic vehicle inspector provider that recently announced a $100 million funding round that included GM and CarMax. Amir, thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Zach.
So for the audience who might not be familiar with UVeye, tell us a little bit about the company, why you co-founded it, and a little bit about your entrepreneur background story.
So in a nutshell, UVeye, we're kind of an MRI for vehicles, right? So when we first started was in 2016, we started solving kind of a homeland security issue that we saw that no one is solving, to be able to inspect the undercarriage of a vehicle and to really find security threats, whether it's explosive devices, weapons, drug smuggling, contrabands, anything that doesn't really belong to the undercarriage of the vehicle in an automated, efficient way. Right, we saw a lot of secured facilities that are using mirrors and other kind of handheld devices. We wanted to give them something that is much more sophisticated, that can really find and detect everything. So this is kind of how we started. But after installing a lot of systems in secured facilities like airports, seaports, military bases, we started seeing all the data that our customer were seeing, but it was interesting to see that not only we can find security threats, but also to find the wear and tear of the vehicle. So oil leakages, broken parts, missing parts, rust in different levels and severities. And then we started to shift a little bit more to the commercial side, because we understood that understanding the condition of the vehicle, both safety related and mechanical related, is really, really important.
So talk to me also about the product evolution of UVeye. So you founded the company in 2016, kind of different use cases, and now the product is evolved. It even includes AI. Talk a little bit about that as well in the product evolution.
So as I said, we start from the Homeland Security side to really find security or solve security problems. And over time, we started shifting and transitioning into the commercial side. So we started gathering and seeing kind of the wear and tear. Then we introduced it mainly to car manufacturers, showing them what we can do. They were really, really excited. We started installing systems in manufacturing lines to help with the quality assurance and kind of to make sure the vehicle was assembled correctly, no damages, no issues. And then COVID hit in 2020. And this is when we understood that we really need to start focusing on the aftermarket as well. And we decided to focus on three main verticals. On the dealerships, to help them to inspect cars a lot faster and to give them a full tool that the service, but also the used car manager can use to inspect cars and to understand the valuation, to service customers a bit better. But also on the used car marketplaces and auction sites, to give them a solution to inspect and understand the car valuation and to really be able to share with their customers the full condition of the vehicle. And the last vertical was the commercial fleets. That we're working with one of the biggest commercial fleets here in the US and in Europe. We help them to maintain their vehicle, make sure the vehicles are safe to use. But all of them, what they're having in common is to provide a better customer experience and kind of a seamless inspection of the vehicle. We haven't really mentioned it, but in order to inspect the vehicle with our system, they simply drive through the system. They don't need to stop or anything. And within a few seconds, they get a full condition reports.
Wow. That's really impressive. And it kind of leads me to my next question. So I seen you've raised some strategic funding from the likes of GM. What is a dealer's reaction to your product, like a dealership versus an OEM?
So the reaction for the product is not that different. I think everyone understands today that we need to, first of all, we'll start by saying that everyone would like to make sure customers are driving safer vehicles. right? Both the OEMs and the dealerships. And also, I think what is common between them is the fact that everyone would like to give a better customer experience to their customers. Everyone would like to share more data with their customers. I think um, we're all as customers and consumers, we're all used to get more data and to be able to see everything. The only thing that may be a slightly different is the fact that, with the OEMs, that they have slightly more data points that they're seeing, with their internal systems, with all the information that they're getting from connected vehicles. Actually, we work with partners like GM and other OEMs to be able to understand what kind of products, what kind of trends or insights we can provide consumers if we're combining all the data together. But in terms of the customer experience, in terms of the intention, I think they're pretty much the same. And that's what important, and this is what we help them to do.
So for dealerships, why is rebuilding trust critical, and how could dealerships harness AI software and data for enhanced transparency?
So the world is different, right? We as consumers, we're used to consume data. We have algorithms today that can pretty much do everything for us, right? You can have a full conversation with an algorithm. You can generate any image based on a few sentences that we provide. So it's really essential to be able to show and explain customers what is the real vehicle condition, right? So if I go to a dealership and they tell me you have an oil leakage, the first thing I probably would tell them is show me, right? Show me that there is an oil leakage. Show me why you're thinking I have an oil leakage. Explain so I can really understand kind of what is the problem. So I think we're able to give the dealerships really the ability to be more transparent with their customer, shows them really, really fast why we find how we find the issue and why we detected an issue. So the customer can be part of the process of inspecting the vehicle. And the more kind of algorithms, the more machine or computer vision software or even hardware that we're able to provide the dealerships with, they're able to service their customers a lot better.
And why are customer experience rates going down? And how do you think AI can be used to enhance customer experience and create efficiency within the workplace and kind of a dealer setting?
So I think it's kind of like the last answer, right? We're used to see what is wrong with the car. It's not enough just to tell them what is the problem. We really need to see it. And I think also in the last few years, we all became more efficient in our time, right? We have mobile phones that are connected to the internet all the time. We're using different services that helps us to be more efficient, like Uber, DoorDash, and others. So we consume a lot more data a lot faster. And the most expensive resource that we have right now is our time. And we would like to make sure both our dealerships are more efficient in the way that they inspect cars, but also customers. They expect the dealership to service them a lot faster and a lot quicker and to show them more data. And this is exactly kind of what we're doing with the dealership. We're able to, first of all, make the dealership or to help them to be more efficient, but also to appreciate and make the customer time more efficient so they can get serviced a lot faster, a lot better, and with more information that the dealership can provide them with.
That makes sense. And why persist with outdated methods like the penny check? Is tech advances and tools, are improving? Can you also explain for the audience the concept around penny check as well?
So absolutely. Penny check is kind of a way to inspect and understand if the tire or the treads are too worn. You simply place a penny into the tread of the groove upside down. So in other words, the penny should be going into the tread head first. And then you need to examine the penny. If you can see Abe's head, it means that your tread is shallow. And basically what you need to do is you need to put it in every tread in multiple locations so that can be more accurate, you can say. But even just explaining it took me more time than what it would took us to really do an inspection with UVeye, right? That you just drive through the system. But also, if you think about how long it will take you to really inspect every tread, putting the penny, putting in multiple locations, that takes a long time, right? And if we're thinking about dealerships just in the last 10 years, right, we have today over 290 million cars registered in the US. We're talking about in 2012, we have close to 240 million cars. We're talking about an increase of 15% over the last 9 to 10 years. That's a lot. And when we're thinking about the amount of things that we have today that we need to inspect in every car, if we're thinking that a service advisor or a technician would be able to stock a penny in every tread, multiple locations, also they'll put a car on a lift for every car that goes into the dealership and they'll do a full inspection. That really takes a long time, and eventually you need to compromise on the number of the checks or inspections that you're doing. But if you like to keep growing your business, keep being able to have full inspections, full condition reports. Everyone are talking about the MPVI, the multiple points of inspections that need to be conducted for every vehicle that goes into the dealership. It's really important to start being able to automate some of the processes, right? Like the inspection, making sure you cover the tires that can be a really safety hazard if you have an issue, if you have any bulges or cuts or anything else, or if you have any safety concerns in the undercarriage or the exterior, right? If you have chips in the windshields, if you have broken mirror housing, if you have burned headlights or taillights or something is broken, you can't do everything manually. Plus, you need to record everything that you inspect. This is exactly why you need to have more automated tools that will be able to give you exactly those inspections, so you don't need to compromise on the level of service that you're providing your customers, but also at the same time, do it a lot faster so you can support and grow the business as well.
Makes a lot of sense, especially with a dealership who has a lot of inventory or fleet management. So I could definitely see those use cases. So in the auto industry, especially on the retail side, you're seeing more and more vendors promote, we have AI in our product. What's the unique AI use case that UVeye has?
So we are based on AI, right? As the vehicle goes through our system, we break the vehicle into different components, and then basically we have different models that runs on different components and different parts of the vehicle. So this is kind of our core business. This is the core technology. Those are engines and models that we developed while collecting millions of cars and a lot of data points. I do think there is a lot of products right now that integrate with other AI engines or other AI products. For the dealerships, now that we're seeing a lot of generative AI tools and tools like ChatGPT and others, I think the dealership already is using a lot of different tools. They just need to make sure that eventually all the tools that are using integrate each other, so they will not need to use different tools for different things, but to have kind of a few tools that are doing the most for them so they can really leverage and still be efficient, right? If they start bringing too many AI tools, it's also they'll be inefficient. So this is kind of my take about kind of all the products that you're seeing right now. But definitely for UVeye, AI is our core. The computer vision algorithms, image processing algorithms, and the machine learning algorithms that we have are the core for our technology.
So what's your message to dealers who are thinking about leveraging UVeye and its technology? What sort of dealership is it right for? Maybe size-wise, inventory-wise? Yeah.
So I think it's right for all of the dealerships, right? Eventually, every dealership that is using UVeye was able to see that they're able to accomplish a lot more in less time. And it's not just on the service side, it's also on the F&I and it's also on the used cars. Basically, we're serving all the departments within the dealerships. So Eventually, we're seeing that the NPS, the Net Promoter Score, we're able to increase that parameter, which measures the engagement and the satisfaction from the customer experience at the dealership. We're seeing that the service department can be a lot more profitable. We're seeing that we help technicians to be more efficient. So every dealership that would like to grow the business and provide a better customer experience should use UVeye.
What are your thoughts on some of the automotive futures like EV or autonomous tech? And what are you the most excited about from your lens?
So I'm excited about pretty much everything. I have to admit, I think the automotive industry in the past 5 to 7 years is definitely going through a lot of changes from EVs, but also EVs. It's not just kind of changing how the engine of the car and how the vehicle drives, but also kind of all the experience that a driver has in the car. Right. So all the infotainment systems, all the autonomous driving and driver assistant, the virtual assistant that we have inside a car. If 20, 30 years ago, people would buy a car because of the engine size at the car, today people are looking, how big is the screen in the car? What kind of sensors do I have? How many cameras I have? And I think also kind of the customers are different today. So it's very exciting to see kind of the auto industry. I do think it will keep changing in the next few years tremendously. The way we buy cars, the things that are important for us in a car. And this is why we're seeing more and more OEMs invest more in the infotainment systems and things that go inside the car. But definitely, I think the technology, especially with all the AI, generative AI that we're seeing right now, will change kind of the experience of both the driver and how we're buying vehicles as well.
So lastly, can you give us an idea of what's coming down the pipeline from UVeye and yourself for the rest of 2023 and going into early 2024?
Absolutely. So a month ago, or a bit over a month ago, we announced and released a new product called Apollo. It helps to inspect the interior of the car. We are now focusing more on EVs to be able to inspect the battery condition, also to inspect the different sensors that connected cars, smart cars are starting to have more and more. So we can really support kind of all the advancements, the EVs, and all the new technology that vehicles are starting to come with. So we can still show 100% of the inspection of the condition report that will include all the information about the vehicle.
Wow. That's exciting, especially on the EV battery front, because I feel like that's still a big problem that definitely needs to be solved in the industry.
Absolutely. There is a lot of different ways to inspect the battery condition. Plus, the computer of the vehicle monitors the different battery cells. But also you need something from the exterior that will tell you if you have any overheating problems, any dead battery cells, or issue with some of the battery cells. And this is exactly what we're going to introduce in 2024.
Wow. Well, I have to say, Amir, it's been an awesome episode of the podcast. I've learned a lot, and I think everyone listening is definitely going to check out UVeye. So thank you so much for being generous with your time and joining us on the podcast today.
Absolutely. Bob, it was a great time for me as well. And thanks very much for inviting me, Zach.